class, because if you swore on a Holy Bible and you were Catholics,
All right, but listen, you can't pass the lie detector test.
That was
you can't swear the Bible.
And I believe that.
Right.
I truly believe that from
What?
my heart.
Yeah, but that's just being silly. If I've killed your man, I just want to come on here and show the public how fucking cold and callous these cunts are, even after the murder.
When they swore on the Bible to me, I believed them. But then as years has gone on, I've changed my mind. Now listen, shut up. You're doing some talking, you, Pat.
I just think, how gullible are you? Well, go on.
The police lived at my house for a year because they said the killers sometimes like to drive past. Nobody even took Viv's best, because once you knocked you once, you were knocked out. Viv Graham was scared of no man in the northeast, and no man could put Viv Graham down. And I'm saying that, and any man that could, they're telling lies. Them who killed Viv Graham, man, ruined our entire life. His mum, his dad, his kids, his brothers, sisters, all women.
Welcome back to Karen TV. Today, delighted to be back up just outside Newcastle with Paddy Conroy, and he has got a guest with him today. Paddy, would you like to
One of my murder-accused victims, widow Anna Connelly, but she doesn't want to be a cup of tea, Anna.
No.
Right, not a problem, but you can still talk.
Oh, I can talk.
So, what we have for the day, Anna, is to talk about a couple of things,
right,
especially Pookie, and what's been going on around him at the minute on the Enemies podcast show. So, with loads of things we want to ask you, to be honest. Wanted to ask you about when certain members of the Winter Hill gang came to your birthday party and that.
Yeah.
Ones that were named as being involved in his murder. And we wanted to talk to you about loads of things. We'll just come to them as it happens, but we'll start with Cookie.
Right.
And your thoughts on what's going on there and what he's up to.
Well,
do you think he's telling lies? Do you think he's telling the truth? Do you think I'm telling the truth?
I think
You've seen me challenging
he's telling the truth on
to me when he's
like he is trying to change his life, and he has.
He's full of shit, but go on. You're just too
he
forgiving.
He has
you.
done his time and things like that. And,
Aye.
And it, like what he done was just like he like it was one person he murdered, which is still not good.
Listen, that's irrelevant. His past's irrelevant, yeah, right?
But
listen,
he done it.
my views is opposite. He's a little rat.
But he
right?
done
Listen,
it like he was young.
it's irrelevant. You're Christian and all that shit going through your head on everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Forgiving and all that.
Yeah.
Well, mine doesn't. It doesn't come through mine, especially with that little cunt.
Well, no, because you do.
Well, just with some people, just not with that little cunt. You know what I mean? So, and I'm better than you. So the point I was getting at, he came to me and Bull after Mr. Humphreys had a podcast show with Glover on it, moving evidence. You know which evidence I'm talking about?
Yes.
The murder details.
Yeah.
Which Glover confessed as part of his murder deal. Cookie came to see me after that podcast show and Bull to tell me basically, don't worry, I'm evidence or proof, without using them words, that you couldn't have given them details because this is what happened, blah blah blah. And he's given me and Bull that story. And that's what I say when he's telling the truth, that side of the story, and he's telling lies about it now. I've challenged him to a lie detector test.
Yeah.
He's refused to take one.
Well, that's what I want to do.
Challenge him to one. I've tell you what to do, get on to his fucking parole officer.
Yeah.
And tell him he's interfering with your husband's murder inquiry. He's either telling the truth or he's perverting the course of justice. And the lie detector test will prove it. Blah blah blah. And ask his parole officer to put it to him, the little cunt. No, seriously, because no.
Language is choice, Chris.
Just best just be fucking straight, though, isn't it?
Oh yes, best be straight.
Call a spade a spade. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like you. I'm not a Catholic. All forgiven. He's not that bad.
It doesn't matter.
He's a bad.
It doesn't matter what you're Catholic or whatever.
I be your mate.
It's what's in your heart.
That's what I mean. We're not your hearted. especially with, because sometimes you've got to take your time with people. I've just learned take your time with people till you know what they're like. Right now I know what he's like, and if you knew what he was like,
Well, you know what he's
you'd
like,
be the
but
same
I
as
don't.
me. Same as me, you'd be unforgiving. And now he's trying to interfere with your man's murder inquiry by backing Glover up in the fact that he's saying I've asked him to commit perjury on the case and that. So what's he up to? It's perverting the course of justice. He's ever telling the truth. Or he's perverting the course of justice yet.
Well, me, on that, just answer that question.
So,
I think he's telling lies.
Thank you. That's
I think
a bit.
he's telling lies.
They're telling me the
about
truth when he first
Scotchman.
come.
I think him
Grant
and
Turbill.
Glover.
Grant Turbill, he's on the beat,
Yeah,
the Scotsman.
Yeah.
First person ever
heard
is. Yeah, Gareth Vowles, now I know whose name is.
Oh, well, he said he told you this before.
I told him this
You knew
before.
that the Scotchman had killed Viv?
He's mentioned it, but I think it was mentioned years ago, even back in them days, but it was just silliness. Took a silliness.
Well, at the end of the day, I just think if Glover and Cookie and Stephen and
So
his
it was a
brother-
talk at the prison about him admitting Viv's murder, like, I don't know if I was saying he's one up his ear or what. Back then, so even the authorities will have knew that Grant Turbill was saying what Cookie's saying no.
Well, they
So
should
it's
have
not
knew.
new, it's not
I
that.
never knew anything about that.
Well, it's just probably not been repeated, but I knew about it.
No, I didn't.
From being in the jail at that time, you know what I mean? Well, back in them days.
Yeah.
That's all I know how it is as well.
Who?
Who the Scotsman is.
All right. And where's he now?
Somebody's messages and reminded me who it was. And then as soon as it reminded me, I thought, oh, that's really high.
Well, why
Yeah,
did
the AIDS, yeah, the AIDS. But
So why do you think the Scotchman came into it?
he's just using it because there's probably other people admit to killing Viv too.
Well, there was lots
He's
of
just
other
using
names,
that as
though,
some sort
Paddy.
of distraction
But there
tactic here.
was other
From what
names.
he's saying, now who's done it. So why is he telling me why he's fucking mentioning a lunatic who's admitted it?
I know, but there was plenty of names mentioned at the time.
Yeah, I know.
And has done over the years.
Look, has admitted it.
So
Why is he not saying me mate? My mate's admitted it.
I can't really say blah 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 killed Red in this one, but I can ask a question is take a lie detector test, because if you sworn a Holy Bible and you were Catholics
Alright,
and I
but
was really
listen, you
young
can't
girl
pass a lie
then,
detector test.
that was
You
years
can't
ago.
swear the Bible.
And I believe that. I
Right.
truly believe that from
What?
my heart.
Ah,
that-
yeah, but that's just
I
being
did.
silly.
Well, it's not.
I would stick to the lie detector test and forget about the Bible.
Well, it still wasn't being silly
It
at the
doesn't
time, 'cause it
prove
was
nothing.
something
I would stick
believed in.
to the lie detector test and keep your Bible out of it.
Well, anyway, I done it.
I know you
And I
did.
believed him.
I
And I
know.
didn't just do it to him. I done it to other members of their little gang at the time.
Who was suspected of killing Viv?
And they all said, no way, never had a part of it, didn't know anybody who had a part of it, and they all
Well, they
loved
would do,
Viv.
wouldn't it?
So I just believed.
They swear in the Bible every time they're in court and they're going on trial.
And the
They never done
reason,
it.
and the reason how
Swear in
he
the
came,
Bible.
and the reason how he came to my
You
party.
know what I mean?
Now listen, shut up. You do some talking, you Patrick.
I just think how gullible are you? Well, go on.
Well, you think I'm gullible, but I'm really not.
Well, you shouldn't have took any notice of him when
Well,
he swore in the
anyway,
Bible.
well, I did.
I know he did.
And if I swore in the Bible now, if you ask me
I took a lie
question,
detector
I'll-
test.
I know you did.
So,
That was
which
good.
one do you rely on the most?
I never doubted you anyway, Paddy.
Which one would you rely on the most? The lie detector test by the top man in Europe? The top
Well, a
man
lot
I
of
even know
years-
about
a
the
lot of
shoes?
years ago, I would have believed in
What
the-
would you trust most? A lie detector test by a proper Home Office approved
Yeah.
top man in Europe, which I done,
Yep.
or him swearing on your Bible?
Years ago, maybe it's a Bible, but not now. Not now. Now,
Him will
a lie
give me a fucking
detector
birthday
test.
party and that.
A
If
lie
I've killed your
detector
man, I
test.
just want to come on here and show the public how fucking cold and callous these cunts are even after the murder.
Aye, but the reason why they came, because them
It
moved
doesn't
and
matter,
they
they
went-
knew either I murdered your man or they murdered your man, right? Listen, and if they murdered your man, after they've murdered him, they come to your birthday party. I couldn't give a fuck what reason was behind it. If they've murdered your man, they shouldn't have been coming to your birthday party, and it did.
Because after I'd seen them and they'd done that and I believed them, they weren't my enemy anymore.
I know that, they've kidded you.
And so when he said, could we be friends? I said, well, I'm fine. And away I went and
Yeah,
I
I
didn't see him
know.
again. But then they made friends with my family that live in High Heaton. And one of my nephews brought them and another one of them. And they came because they thought that when they swore the Bible to me, and I truly believed them, that they were all okay. And I was okay by that, Paddy, at that time. I believed them. But then as years has gone on, I've changed my mind.
You want to?
I've changed my tune. I've changed my tune.
You seen me challenge him
to change my tune.
You seen me challenge Shady Bulger to a lie detector test, didn't you, on the internet?
Yeah.
And you've seen us challenge Cookie to a lie detector test over these matters on the internet too, haven't you?
Yeah.
And they both said no.
Well, I don't think I'm asking for a lot. Did you have a part in asking anyone that question? Cookie, Glover,
Unless you're guilty.
make us anyone, the Winter Hill guy, anyone.
Unless
I
you're
want to
guilty,
ask that
then there's a
question.
problem.
And if you don't want to do it, well, it really, in my eyes, is you're guilty.
Of course.
And then I'm going to go further.
Cookie's guilty of
Then I would have to take it further. I'll have to
Cookie is
go and
guilty
see the
of...
police, because things on, like, what I didn't know where I was all them years back. And now when I'm older and wiser, I look and I think, hey, look at, like, I didn't know this.
You didn't know
When
that.
Keith Felton ever, like, told me that Glover was
Well, he wouldn't do, would he? He's not going to, is he?
But they befriended, they lived at my house
I
for a
know.
year, befriended my family.
What you're talking about there is Offside in charge of the case who consoled the family too after the murder. The one that comes to your house and visits you a lot. He was the actual police handler of Davy Glover. Officially, I've got the
police lived at
paperwork.
my house for
Official
a year.
paperwork from my court case.
The police lived at my house for a year because they said
So-
the killers sometimes like to drive past
And
to see what they've done.
And these cops in question are the ones who are say have been doing the armed robberies and kickers murder and etc. with the Winter Hill gang, who are also involved in our man's murder. I'm just telling people a little bit of the background about this cop. Last time I seen this cop, I was in the town centre with Jimmy Somerville outside the Lover, and he was shopping with his wife, Christmas shopping. And Jimmy Somerville, psycho, was spitting in his face in front of me, saying that's such and such from the crime squad, Paddy, don't look at his face. I went, right Jim, I won't. His wife was with him and he was getting spatted in his face. That's the last time I see him Felton. Then the next thing I know, he's been carrying out undercover operations against me and using Glover as an informant.
Well, that's everything what you know. I don't know nothing about that.
Before he killed Viv, Felton had been using Glover as an informant for 2 years. It's in the statement. For 2 years before Viv's murder.
But the statement where it said what Glover said about that scenario and Michael says blah blah blah, I knew all about that. The police came to my house. I seen that statement all them years
This
ago.
man, they were going to charge them.
And the police said they had them then.
They did.
And then they said that.
And what happened to my trials? Scuppered everything. That's a bit nobody knows other than me, and everybody was involved in the trial.
Then they said he got put in a straitjacket and all that. And that couldn't be.
He done that
then
before
he
he
couldn't use that
confessed.
as evidence because he
Yeah,
wasn't
they've just used
altogether
that to
there in
funny
the
you.
head. But he is altogether there in the head now because he's been on. So that means he can take a lie
You would think
detector
so.
test.
Why didn't ask him?
Yeah. I would have thought we'll come and clean. Let's get even cleaner and get the book finished. And
You know, if he was trying to help you in any way, he would have already asked him, wouldn't he? Or he would have asked some delving questions of him and Cookie regarding all the matters of surrounding this murder. If he was trying to help you. But he's not, you see, he's trying to help the murderers, his friends and associates who protect them and everything else that comes with him. He's trying to protect them, yeah, and you can see it in these interviews. They're using his podcast show to try
They've
and
never liked Steve Ray.
spin their narrative on the murder and get me arrested over it, like they've been trying to do since day one. And there's loads and loads and loads that come out about this murder yet that nobody knows about yet. So, a long route.
That's a long route.
I'm still waiting at bits and pieces, me, before I can take any more steps forward. Still haven't getting things. But when I do, we'll be able to make some more steps forward once we can prove this and prove that by certain bits of evidence and whatnot. Then it'll enable me to take further steps forward.
Well, I've heard Stephen Rafe in other parts call him favourite bully and that. Viv was not a bully. Just like I've been telling Christine, Viv couldn't come on a pod and talk the talk that them talk, like Brian Cockrell and you, like he's done this in jail, he's done that in jail, he chopped his head off, he done that, he told. They've never done nothing like that. There's not a story to tell that Viv had a knife and Viv done this and Viv dropped him. There's not a story. The only story to tell about Viv is you could have a fight. It was a fight. I came from the
They probably
greatest
really
family.
wouldn't have a knife on out.
And Viv was terrified in there.
That's right, that's sweet, that's
So,
sweet.
like, when Brian Cockrell, like, tells his stories and millions of people watch, I don't think that's good, mate. It's all badness. And they've done this and they've done that. And they're with the Lord now. Like, with the Lord, why would you want to talk about all that rubbish?
Brian Cockrell
But
says
Viv
that.
couldn't talk like that because he
Brian
wasn't
Cockrell
that
says
kind
I hit
of
him out the
person.
fucking head with a fucking hammer.
That
To
is-
Leon Steve
that
fucking
is a-
podcast show.
Hello,
And when I let him know I'd formally
Maloney.
pass a lie detector test
Hey.
and to challenge him to take one, he went, alright then you mind it on.
All I can say is Brian Cockrell was terrified of Viv Green. So were the Sears. Lee Duffy didn't go and knock a doorman out at Macy's. He might have knocked one out, a young doorman. Viv's friends were there. I've just been talking to them the other day. That's all exaggerated. Everything they're saying is exaggerated. If there's one, they say there's 10. And people
They
think,
fabricate whole stories, man.
you know what? That really upsets me.
You were on holiday
Paddy-
at that time when Lee went to that door,
I'll
weren't you?
show him I've got my phone, I'll show him the tickets.
Right.
It's not about that.
You could do that.
It's about the way, like, yous all have your bit and yous all have your say and yous are acting like, Viv never done this. Viv was scared Viv wouldn't come in the West End. Well, not on my watch, Paddy, because Viv always went to the West End. I was in the car with him. I don't want to mention other people's names because they're business people and they don't want their names mentioned. I could tell you millions of things, but it just brings other people into it, and people are older now and they don't want to listen to this scenario. But all that, well, Brian Cockrell and Stewie Watson. Stewie Watson never ever mentioned that me and Viv went to his house after the scenario at Rockshot when they spiked Viv. Viv didn't enjoy hitting Stewie Watson and going in there. He had been spiked. But nobody tells that, and nobody tells when me and Viv went to his house, and I'll tell you where he lived, off Bensham Bank. And I'm sure he had a snake or something in his house. And Viv went with a gentleman to apologise to Stewie that night what went on. That night when Viv Green went into Hobos, he never knew this scenario was even going to happen, man. We just come off
No,
holiday.
they just tricked him in.
It was
Right
all
on
tricked
that.
and set
That's
up.
sweet.
And when Viv told me he wasn't
They did that
even...
with everybody.
Viv said to me, he was not, well, you can say what he's like, I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's
Stewie
why
was
you
getting
thought
the
of your
back.
shit.
Viv said to me, when I seen that video, because he got locked up and remanded from then, and when Viv said to me, because the police got him the next day, and he said he couldn't believe that like Stewie Watson, he didn't even want to hit Stewie Watson, man. If Stewie Watson tells the truth, Viv got him in that
Thing in nerve
what's
lock.
it called?
Where you get your nerves.
And said to him, Stewie, just go down. I didn't even want to hit you. Viv didn't even want to hit him, but Stewie should tell the truth. Stewie's like, people are saying he took his best, he done this. Nobody even took Viv's best, because once he knocked you once, you were knocked out. And the reason why he didn't knock Stewie Watson out is because he didn't even truly want to hit him. He didn't even want to hit him, and he got locked up from there. And he's seen Stewie and apologised since then. Viv was not like them people. He wasn't going there to batter people all over.
There's Viv's wife to defend him.
Well, of course
the
I
hilt.
defend him.
Even on
I'm
Stewie
not going to,
Watson.
well, I did go to Stewie Watson's house. I did. And so did Viv.
Listen, I
Stewie knows
know that, but I know what he was like.
Hmm?
He used to send Keza run to my house.
I don't remember.
Yeah, no,
Kaz
man,
as
listen, I'll tell you, I was getting on with him in
the
the end.
dodgy rate
Sort of.
and the full jolly lot. I can tell you millions of tears. Viv Graham, all I'm saying, Paddy, is was scared of no man in the northeast, and no man could put Viv Graham down. And I'm saying that, and any man that could, they're telling lies. So that's it.
Anna's views, right?
That's my views, and
That's
I know
right.
my views are right. I went to visit him in jail as well, man. I've seen the. That's how I've never really come on pods, because I'm just not into that. Like putting pods in everybody every time. I look all arguing, being nasty to each other. And it's
Yeah, you
not
agree, that's
good.
just us, so not when our neighbours asking you.
People
Yeah.
keep calling people, and then I'll come on and start calling me names.
No,
Do you think
it's
so?
I'm not
fine.
putting up. I don't want to
Of
listen to that.
course.
People want to call you names when.
So are you getting on the Cookie's probation officer to report him
Well,
for interfering with your man's murder inquiry?
if this
Because if he's
moment
telling
in
lies,
time-
you must agree he's perverting the course of justice. And one of was telling,
yes,
one of was
yes.
telling fucking lies. It's either him or fucking me and
Well,
Bull.
why don't you take a lie detector and Bull that he did say that to you, that Michael Sears came to his and they were sweating and they said blah 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 what they said.
I could take a lie detector test for that. If I was taking one of the latest ones in the world, I would go out and plus them old-fashioned ones.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a problem with me.
Uh-huh.
No, Bull. It's only a problem
Because
with
if
Cookie.
he said that,
He's already said he's not taking one, any. That should be a fucking enough for you. And why would I concoct such a story?
well, that means the subscribers need to watch this and they need to ask
And what I'm
them
saying to
and
you
say,
is,
why
what I'm
wouldn't
saying to
you?
you is this. I was saying it to him earlier. Me and Bull ain't the first person he's told the story to. He's been to Grennan Green Prison, where the authorities completely debrief you everything in your fucking head and soul, and if you know what Grennan Green's all about. And there's no ways he went through that system and been released without explaining what he
Well,
knew
he's had
about
a
Viv's
hell of-
murder already. No, he must have done at some
Well, Paddy
point.
had a hell of a journey.
So, no, listen,
If they abused him and that wasn't good.
well, they had the fingers up his arse.
Gee,
They didn't actually
terrible,
have
that.
sex with him, but they had fingers up his arse.
Oh, God. That's even
He's
drastic.
come back from the visits, either pulled them in a cell or in the toilets or something, gang of them, and had stripped his trousers. He was
just
now
a young
naked
lad,
from the
yeah.
waist down, and he was getting sort of raped, you know what I mean, with her fingers. Because they wanted his drugs on him. And he was saying he didn't have any, and he didn't want to say him, I didn't believe you.
I
He
feel
likes
sorry
tough,
for him, I think
life's
he's
tough
lost
in there, man. You know what I mean? Life is tough in there.
But if people say they want it, their
But
conscience clean and everything,
listen,
clean
when you
it,
murder innocent people,
upload it,
when you
upload
murder
it all
innocent
off you.
people and take people away from their parents, and because that fella had children, I very much doubt them orphans of that fella who he murdered, for telling the truth, mind. Because all he said to them was glovers and grass. And then it turns out Glover is a
Them
fucking
who
grass.
killed Dave Grayman ruined our entire life. His mum, his dad, his kids, his brothers, sisters, all women, all away.
So do you not
We're
think
never
Cookie done
ever
that
the
to
same
his
again, we
victim's
weren't.
family?
Huh?
Do you think Cookie done that either?
Of course he did.
I'm just
Of
pointing
course he
that
did.
out.
Of course he did. And I think it's terrible having a conscience where it must keep coming back to you when you've took someone's life. It's the biggest sin to ever do, to just take
Not if
someone's
you've got,
life for
not
nothing.
if you've got
Not if you're
supply of cocaine.
no.
For sure.
If someone's harmed your family or and you killed them for that reason because they've done something seriously wrong, that's a different story. But just to kill someone for nothing, just for nothing, I think that.
I don't think they meant to kill him. I think they've just meant to shoot him in the legs, but they've ended up killing him.
Who?
They must have done it.
With the 357 Magnum?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so, Paddy.
They were
The
shooting him from such a
357
distance.
Magnum wouldn't.
You can't have handguns, but I just think they might have just been trying to scare him, but they killed him. Regardless, so they find a gun at him in his direction and they killed him. It's murder, right? There's no getting away. Doesn't matter what the intentions was. It doesn't. But I was just saying the way they've done it. They haven't waited until he come out and put one in his fucking nut. You know, when you know they've
And
intended
they
to
love
kill him.
waiting for a day when it's special. Like
I just
New
think they'd be
Year's
lucky
Eve
that
and
day
Boxing
and-
Day oh, they were very lucky. The time it was, how everything, they were very, very
Just be lucky.
Yeah, they were lucky. I can't believe like how lucky they were, mate, and thousands of people were interviewed and
Well, you've got the story now. Lee Watson's tell the story. Glover's tell the story. Cookie's tell the story.
then
Brian
you had
Cockrell's
then
telling
you
you a
had
story.
JPH,
Brian Cockrell's telling you a
and
story.
then John Paul Howe got mentioned.
Who mentioned him?
So, loads of mentioned John Paul.
Glover never mentioned him.
No, never Glover did. But other people did to me.
If you look at the story though,
So
you
there
looked
was
at the
that many
story,
names?
this is what happened. This is what happened. Lee Watson, just as in statements in one of the books, Lee Watson was working at the Old Arms pub that day. Michael and Stevens drinking, New Year's Eve, outside, and they fucked off for a couple of hours and come back. And when they come back, this is Lee Watson's words, when they come back they went, we've done Viv, let's change clothes. And you know the story from there.
Yeah. Who did he say that to?
The police, as part of his Friday night's murder deal, he's admitted that he was in the, or it's in one of the books, his statement. That's why he's admitted that they went back to the Old Arms pub, said we've done Viv, this is about 7 o'clock. This is the same time Glover's turning up at Bull's door, running the boot, you know what I mean? We've done Viv, and Michael wanted to change clothes, not Stephen. Only Michael wanted to change clothes, and he changed clothes with Lee Watson. And Lee Watson, tell the cops this, man, as part of his statements when he had me to kill Freddie. He says,
so
and then they went into the pub.
I know that story. So why do you think the police? How the heck?
Yeah, but when you compare
how the heck did they get away?
When you compare his story to Glover's story, who would want to change their clothes out of the two of them? If you look at Glover's murder confession and what roles everybody's played out of them two, Cinch and Snatch, who would want to change their clothes with the two of them? Just the gunman, that three. The other one's just been a second car driver, he's never been near anything. So he wouldn't need to change his clothes. And when you look at Lee Watson's statement, he's telling you only he wanted to change his clothes and I swapped clothes with him. Then we went in the pub and alibied ourselves in the pub by ordering a taxi. Get us a taxi, shouting out of the pub. Just to alibi ourselves and listen, they've told Lee Watson then, we've done it. 4 hours later, they come back to the pub and they're thinking, fucking can we trust him? No, this is when they mentioned Lee Watson. That's when they mentioned how it's in the statement, man. They changed the story to Lee Watson at that point. Do you not think they've not deliberately done that?
Yeah.
Because they've already made the rick and changing clothes with him.
My friend only told me this the other day that he, who loved Viv too, he's from Viv's End, he went to this pub on New Year's Day. It was called, what pub would be the Blackie in the town. When my friend went that morning, and he was filming with the manager, I knew him, and I kind of think his name would it be Falcon on his second name.
There used to be a fountain, I'm not going to remember this film, who used to be in the haulage and that. I don't know if it's him or not.
Well, anyway, I'll get that name again, because when he went in, my friend Gary, he said they were all drinking champagne.
Celebrating?
Yeah.
Aye.
And Gary said to the man who owned it, which name I can't think of, he said, this is disgusting, can't believe Viv's been there and this is going on. And I know this person who was telling me this other day was telling the truth. And he said, they were all drinking champagne, all of them in that bar, the Blackie. Is it the Blackie Boy, the Blackie Mark?
Blackie Boy, I think it's called the Blackie. The Blackett, or the Blackett, is it not the Blackett?
In there, and they were all drinking champagne, all of them, on New Year's morning.
Celebrating. Aye.
Yeah, celebrating.
It's them who should take a lie detector test.
Yeah,
I've took mine.
You have. It's them. And if
they're blaming me for the murder.
If they're writing a book and it's all facts, and it's no fiction, and it's no allegedly, take the lie detector test. Because then...
For Viv's murder.
Yeah, and then it means the book should be a great bestseller. Because at the end of it, everybody who's accused them, that means that they're innocent, because they took the lie detector test, so they're innocent. So the book will have a fantastic ending, won't it? And they were innocent.
They would take one anyway, man, regardless of the book, wouldn't they?
No, the lie detector test.
No,
they would anyway. But I'm saying just for them, because they're selling their book, and the book's a fortune.
Just the fact.
Someone tells me
it's
$24.99.
Just the fact that they're accusing me and I've sat
Paddy
before you
doesn't
now.
let you get you, Dizzy.
I do like.
You don't like.
I do.
You do not.
I'm the best at doing it.
Oh, you're good at having your say and bringing it into it.
No, you're just a typical woman.
Oh, I'm difficult.
Am I right, folks?
I'm difficult. Who's right, chap?
But
anyway, what I say,
evidence is
Patrick, what I say is, why don't all my subs, right? Because I asked Apollo too.
Fuck Apollo.
Oh no, I like Apollo.
I'm gonna throttle him.
Oh, well, you throttle him, but I'm not throttling him. But anyway, I said, why he's looking at facts, so why isn't he looking into that? Like most people look into it. Ask your subs. Ask your subs. Put it on you. Should the Winter Hill gang in Cookie in them ask the subs? Should they take a lie detector to clear their name for Viv Graham? Say yes or no. Because it's not for Viv's family, for his mum, his dad's, God rest his soul, Jackie, who was amazing. How wonderful would that be for Hazel?
It'd be big great.
Amazing, and her daughters, and God rest Eric's soul and that, but I think that's easy peasy, mate. Easy peasy.
Me too.
Ask your son.
But I hope you and the rest of obviously Viv's family get justice, and like I say.
And so Christian, do that's all. You just say, ask all your subs.
Yep, 100%.
Yes or no? Should these people who are being accused of Viv's murder just take 2 questions on a lie detector test? Just 2. And that's the end of it with me. I'm done.
That's not a lot to ask for.
All I'm asking.
And Cookie's probation officer should ask him to sit a lie detector test in the parole office.
But those who are writing books, like say Brian and the rest of the squad, not that I'm pulling them down, I don't know the lad or his wife Emma, she's lovely, I think, beautiful inside and out, but he's just wanting to sell his book.
Yeah.
And either wanting subs and likes, but no, you've got to.
What you saying? He's full of shit, like.
Aye.
I thought you were.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
In
a Catholic born way, right? I think I thought so.
Well, let's leave it there. But guys, I'd like to say much appreciated. And yeah, thank you very much.
I'll do.